Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our baby steps journey. As the whole world probably knows, we are currently in a pandemic. Since posting my last couple of videos, I've had a few questions asked to me about how the current crisis is affecting our treatment plan. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Just like many other businesses that are classified as non-essential, fertility clinics are unfortunately classified under that umbrella as well. So previously I mentioned that I go to Lake Ridge Fertility in Whitby. I primarily just go there for monitoring at this point because they don't do IVF services in-house. They refer to Trio Fertility, which is in downtown Toronto. I had my transfer at the end of March, and at the time I was told that I was one of the last fresh transfers to be happening before everything was getting shut down. So I got a little bit lucky there. People who weren't as lucky as me were changed to a freeze-all cycle. As far as my understanding goes, a lot of clinics were continuing to offer patients services as long as they were already mid-treatment. For those that hadn't started yet, they got delayed. And for cases like me where an IVF cycle failed, any future cycles can't start until clinics reopen. So I'm on several Facebook support groups for infertility, some pretty general and some more specific to my diagnosis. And I am seeing a wide variety of reactions and feelings about the closure of fertility clinics. I personally do try to understand why Canada and Ontario have decided to close everything that they have, because we really need to squash this thing in the butt as soon as we can in order to resume our normal lives. But also from the viewpoint of someone who doesn't have a lot of time, I do understand why a lot of people are upset that our fertility and our ability and desire to have children is not considered essential. So people like me with diminished ovarian reserve, or people who are considered advanced maternal age, our clocks are ticking a bit faster than others, so it can be frustrating to feel like a sitting duck and be kind of stuck in limbo, not knowing what's coming next, not being able to move forward with anything. It sucks. So another way that this whole pandemic is kind of affecting those with infertility is I've noticed that a lot of couples and women have been a bit hurt by a joke that's going around about there being a baby boom after this pandemic because everyone's stuck at home and what else are you gonna do? I'm not personally offended by this joke. In fact, I've probably made it myself. But I can understand why those types of jokes at this time are hurtful to others. Another one that's kind of getting to people on the Facebook support groups is obviously a lot of parents have been stuck at home with their kids, have been responsible for homeschooling their kids. I try and keep an open mind that just because I'm going through my own struggles doesn't mean that parents aren't going through their own with their kids and all this. And I'm not saying that parents or people who are pregnant and going through their own issues during the pandemic, they all have their right to complain about whatever they want. Just from the perspective of someone who is going through infertility, and just from what I've seen on Facebook groups, it is a little bit challenging to see all the Facebook posts about people complaining about having to spend so much time with their kids, because we're in a position where we would love to trade spots with you. So that being said, I do also want to talk about how to cope with this type of situation. So everyone copes with stress differently. I'm just going to talk about how I am personally coping with this type of situation. So while Peter and I are still technically trying, I'm not actively tracking anything, not in the way that I used to. I still track when my period starts and stops just so I have a general idea of when to expect it, but in terms of tracking ovulation and taking tons of pregnancy tests, I'm not doing any of that. I'm trying not to think about it at all. And so far that's been really good for my mental health. It's kind of giving me a mental break because my whole life has been consumed with this for 2 years now. Also, just generally keeping myself busy. So I've been lucky that I've been able to work from home. That's been definitely a great distraction. And I've also kind of found a new passion for the things that I love to do, like drawing and making videos. So I've kind of come up with a list of personal projects. I love organizing. I've been organizing different areas of my house. But just basically keeping yourself busy can be a good way to get your mind off stuff and make the time pass quicker. So while staying busy can be a helpful distraction, I've also made sure to make rules for myself in terms of clocking out by a certain time each day so that the evenings I can focus more on myself, focus on relaxing, focus on doing the things that I really enjoy. I'm definitely the type of person that likes to get things done immediately, and I've noticed that my sleeping habits have been affected because the job that I'm doing involves me getting a lot of emails and having to keep up with updates on a website. So I've been finding myself kind of glued to my phone a lot. Anytime I get an email, I'm right back at my computer and updating things immediately, which isn't a bad thing. I'm sure the people that I'm doing the work for really appreciate that about my work ethic. But I've found that I need to pick a time to kind of cut myself off from that and focus on other things, take a step back, focus on myself, because I got to the point where I was just constantly wondering, oh, like I wonder if someone needs me for something, or I should probably check my email again before I go to bed just in case, even though realistically no one is going to be expecting me to make website updates at midnight. And then I get into a habit of just kind of bouncing between work and other activities, and then I'm not really dedicating my time and my energy into the other activities. So that's honestly really helped. And lastly, I'm not sure if this suggestion would work for everyone, but I've found myself getting kind of burnt out about talking about it, which is ironic because I'm making this series, but because I did get to a point where I told a lot of the people close to me prior to even going public with this information, I just kind of got to a point where I was just kind of tired of talking about it because I had realized that it was taking over my whole life. It was taking up all of my headspace, and it wasn't a good place to be in. So I've kind of taken a step back from that too. I don't really talk to my friends about it as much. It probably helps that there's not a lot going on right now, and I like to talk about things, but I've learned a lot about myself along this journey in terms of knowing when I need to share things and then when it's better for me to not share things and keep things to myself. As far as fertility clinics in general, I can really only speak to Trio Fertility because they're the only ones that I'm following. All of those healthcare professionals have been trying to get together and figure out the best and safest way to reopen services to everyone, because ultimately they understand that the delay of treatment can really be life-changing for a lot of couples. I also don't expect fertility clinics to be added to the essential services list anytime soon. Even such things as cancer treatments or gender reassignment surgeries and all types of other medical procedures have been canceled or postponed or delayed as well. And as much as this issue is important to me and everyone else in the infertility community, it is not life-threatening, not in the way that other medical issues are that are also being delayed. So ultimately, I feel like in the grand scheme of things, it makes more sense for other people's medical treatments to get reopened first over me, and that's, yeah. But trying to be optimistic. In the meantime, we'll just keep trying the old-fashioned way. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, one way in which the pandemic is kind of a good thing in terms of infertility, at least for my situation at the moment, is that it did help me have the courage to put my story out there. And that may sound a bit odd, but because I'm stuck at home, because I can't see anyone face to face, there felt like there was a lot less pressure, I guess. So I put it out there, and then I haven't had to see a bunch of people in person to talk about it. I'm obviously open to talking about it, but I am a shy person. I'm very introverted, so it probably would have been a lot more uncomfortable for me to have these heart-to-heart conversations with people in person. And it has also just given me the time and the motivation and the drive to move forward with the series. So I just want to thank everyone again who has given me their love and support. I am so, so, so grateful for all the amazing messages that Peter and I received. And thank you to all of the people that have reached out to me separately with your questions or sharing your own stories. It's amazing to see other people in your life that are going through the same thing that you had no idea, and that's really why I'm doing this. Thanks so much for watching this video. My next one is going to be a little bit juicy. It might even turn into a rant, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. And again, if you have any questions about infertility, my diagnosis, or how the pandemic is affecting everything, then feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.